Welcome to INFINTECH, where decision makers connect. INFINTECH is organized by Logate, your painless vendor for digital journey, in partnership with Mastercard, empowering connections, shaping tomorrow.
Hello to all of you. This is my third INFINTECH conference here. And, I think I know almost everyone here that are in the audience, especially guys actually from the organization board. And I must admit that everything what we will discuss today, we already passed several times. It's hard to be a moderator after Daniela, who is really, amazing. And I'm guilty for it because of the different schedule. But actually good that something that Jovan and the team did is that really good continuation after this digital onboarding is how we are actually acquiring the clients. Because if you want to onboard someone, you have to really first think how to acquire them and how to actually respond on the questions and the needs of the PI, actually private individual and business customers in the age of an AI, which is really a buzzword these days, years, whatever you name it. So we put this an eye of the tiger and really a battle for the customers if you want to go really digitally to onboard them and to really do something differently from the perspective of the traditional banks and neo banks. Today, this morning, I was thinking about how to concept my really entry point and Zoltan read everything, because I took a couple of notes and really, when you said that this banking industry is really undertaking, as I said, a rapid, so to say, digital revolution, evolution, you name it. For sure, I think it's an evolution. Yet, what has become abundantly clear is that actually this transformation goes far, really beyond this AI, data, cloud technologies, etc. So we really have to be, have to come back to the fundamental things, how to organize ourselves internally on the markets, how to change the culture, and really finally here, you said really good, how to compete in a marketplace that is constantly evolving. Thus I said evolving. So the question that is before us today is how do we successfully navigate this transformation in the years ahead? So to guide us on this journey, we are honored to be joined by distinguished panels of guests, of experts actually, each bringing profound insights. They're looking at me really, insights and invaluable hands-on experience in their respective organizations. So I will start with ladies. First of them is, it's Lila Canaj. I learned right now it's between L and L. Lila Canaj. Lila is the Chief Retail Officer at Tirana Bank, over 20 years of banking experience. So I think that she will today show us how actually she's struggling as a traditional bank with neo-banks and everything what is going around. This year, I met an extraordinary person while actually having with my colleagues a tour actually among different neo-banks in UK. One of them was Starling. And there I met an extraordinary person with a lot of energy. So really please welcome Sonia Vieira, Regional Director for Europe at Engine. This is a Starling Bank softwares as a service arm. So you said you're responsible for driving and scaling the business in the European region to help more organizations offer best-in-class digital banking solutions. Okay. Last but not least, the other gentleman on the stage is coming from North Macedonia. He's my fellow from NLB Group and my NLB colleague, Igor Davchevski, Chief Operational Officer in NLB Skopje. So, guys, I put this intro, and as Zoltan ruined my intro, actually with notes I took from him, and the really excellent presentation. Lila told me this is good to continue on that and on what was the previous panel to discuss and maybe to continue naturally, normally with question about after we attract the client, acquire the client, how actually you observe, how you reflect on this digital onboarding, and then we will continue discussing about these limitations.
Thank you so much. First of all, it's the first time I'm here in INFINTECH. I want to thank all the organizers, and especially Jovan Ratnic that make this happen. And,
he's somewhere here.
Yes, he's amazing. And yes, to continue to the previous panel discussion about the onboarding, I see this kind of organizations that our countries can share the best experience so we can learn from each other. And reflecting on that, for us has been an amazing journey because we are the 6th bank in a row, considering the assets, but we are the first bank in Albania that has the fastest digital onboarding and we are the 2nd one that implemented this. Mm-hmm. And we rather implemented real fast, only in 3 months. And a customer of Tirana Bank can open an account end-to-end if he's fast in 4 minutes. So I think this is something that we, first of all, can be proud of, but it's also the start that all the other banks in the market react to this new reality fast as us. It's a matter of how you organize your daily job, and digital onboarding has been an example that as soon as we abruptly, in a way, changed the way we were working in an agile methodology and not anymore in a waterfall methodology, we saw immediate results. So for Albania and for Tirana Bank, actually, this is a success story. And we have seen people that have changed the way they were thinking in order to make this happen. And I think that this is the most important step toward digital transformation. Mm-hmm. To change the way people think and to see this process not as an IT project, but as a business reinvention. Good. And for me, this is the most important thing.
Very good one. So we'll now play one game. This game calls actually change the places, because because I announced Sonia as a second, but she sits below your picture. So I think that for the sake of the videos, you can switch if you want, whatever, but nothing else. I was just looking at the screen and seeing, no, for sure this is not Sonia. But really, actually, Igor, since we broke our actually deal because we learned everything, what we will say, can you please refer also to this question that I asked Lila with a bit of a different angle, how banks can balance really these regulatory constraints to this matter?
Let me just regulate the volume. I speak usually very loudly, so I hope I'm not disturbing someone if someone is sleeping in the audience. Well, who else, if not the banks, will comply with the regulation? Mm-hmm. We're famous on the trust and on one side, and on the regulatory expectation of the to be compliant. What is changing? The game has changed in the last. I would dare to say from 2009, from the financial crisis, when the regulators are extremely heavily increased their capacities to check our compliance and to enforce us to introduce the famous second line of defense. Second line of defense for someone who is not in banking area or in some corporate governance structures means all these guys which are ex post checking how the management board is governing the operations, like CISO, like AML, like DPO or by compliance department. So we had to strengthen that positions. It might sound strange for somebody, but they were not existing or with lack of capacities in past. And when they came up when we onboarded them, they usually start checking ex post compliance, which is terrible for the innovation. Terrible for, especially when we are talking about digital transformation. We tried to persuade them, although at the end it came up with the direct order from the board of directors to integrate them into the innovation process. So ex ante, contributing to the process itself. So we had to unlearn how we have done the things in past, creating one single department, some small group of people which is specifically competent on some like, for example, like payments or like cards, and they were doing everything. Say cybersecurity, the data protection, and so on and so forth. So creating small agile teams, doing MVP first of all. You have to do MVP, you have to pilot it, and then work on robustness and scalability. If you don't do that, you will ask for a perfection, and you will never launch the product, or you will launch it again with a lots of compliance issues or risks.
Okay. Sonia, in last pause, you will tackle one topic that you will for sure tomorrow as a keynote speaker will give a deeper insight in it. But I'm really curious to see your view on the, for instance, Balkan markets, like where we are coming from or where we are right now. How we can actually, what we can do differently to not just to catch up really, but to create kind of a different competitive advantage to struggle with all of these challenges about acquiring the clients and also catching up more mature markets like EU, UK markets or something like that.
Of course. So first, Vladimir, thank you so much for your invitation. It was a pleasure to receive you in London. It's a pleasure to be here in Montenegro. We are always very passionate about sharing our story. So hopefully the learnings that we'll share today and tomorrow will help you, think about helping customers in the local markets in a slightly different way. We will do that based on the stories of three companies. So Starling Bank, which is one of the first neobanks launched in UK, Engine by Starling, which is now the SaaS business that we are leveraging to offer the technology that was the foundation of Starling's success to other banks across the world to transform the way they are operating. And then, last but not least, Salt Bank, which is a new bank in Romania, which was the first bank doing the leap of embracing this new way of launching propositions to the market. So I would start with Starling. So Starling was founded 10 years ago by a banker called Anne Boden. She had 55 years of a long career in banking. She was very frustrated by all the constraints, and she had a mission and a purpose in life. She wanted to actually make banking better for people so they could manage better their finances, and therefore she decided to launch a different bank which would allow actually customers to manage the finances out of a mobile, but also would allow the employees across the bank to operate their daily lives and their daily jobs on a single dashboard. To deliver this vision, she started by looking at what's available in the market in terms of technology. She couldn't find anything that would, deliver that vision, that purpose we've discussed many times today. And so the team developed all the technology from the ground up, right? And that's what Engine is now, right? Is all that technology, but also all the operating model that made Starling a success. And when I say success, is not a fintech. So she built a bank that was also trusted and loved by customers, and that grew organically. So Starling Bank is now 4.5 million customers, and of which 500,000 are SMEs. You know, it's one of the most loved brands in the UK. It operates, you know, at a very low TCO, so around 50 euros per customer, which, you know, it's 3 times less than incumbents in UK, but also is very profitable. So if you compare, for instance, with Revolut, it's 6 times more profitable than Revolut per customer. And so one thing that I would say to, you know, to the banks here in the region, you know, it's a market that's been protected by design, because countries are very fragmented, and regulation is very diverse. But as you open, you know, you embrace the European unit, and the cost of technology and launching new banks reduces significantly. I anticipate that in the next 2 to 5 years there will be new players in the market, and therefore, you know, the strategy that you have been adopting so far, which is to incrementally digitalize processes like the onboarding one, when those players arrive to the market, it might not be enough. So my suggestion to you is do a leap in terms of digital transformation, and either by launching new banks or transforming from the ground up, embrace new ways of working and new technology across the entire value chain. No, you can do it 2 ways. So you can do it the Starling way, which is, you know, develop your own technology in-house. For Starling, it took around 2-3 years to get there. Or you can do what Salt did, which was use Engine as the foundation and an accelerator, where they then could build their own value proposition to be attractive to the Romanian market. And by doing so, they were able to launch in less than a year. And less than a year later, they are already capturing more than 4% of market share. Just to put things into perspective, that's the entire population in Montenegro. And they are anticipating that they will achieve break-even next year. I was with them last week discussing the strategy for the next 2 years, and they have very ambitious plans. So do a leap.
This is very interesting, you know. So I comment this, actually passed this info to one of my vendors, who was saying that for a more simpler thing, he needed like 1.5 or 2 years. I said, okay, I will call you Sonia to explain how to 9 to 12 months you can install the bank. You know? So not just one system. But nevertheless, let's fly on this. Lila, let's to narrow this on your local market to see like with neobanks and digital-only players gaining ground globally. How should banks in Albania could position themselves, or how they position themselves?
Actually, the competitiveness of neobanks is just coming in Albania. In a few months, we are going to have the first fully digital neobank operating and licensed by the Central Bank of Albania. So yes, we're going to have a direct competitor there. But still, what I truly believe is that in our part of the world, we still value very much human connection. And my approach would rather be like a bank that all the routine transactions, they channel through the digital channels, and the branch of the future will be converted in, let's say, advisory place, when customer can come, meet their personal bankers and discuss about their investments, either in deposits or in real estate through mortgage lending. So these are more high-value transactions. I see now banks as a competitor in the light, in this specific light, that they are very fast. They have a very high speed to market. But what they lack, especially when they will enter in a certain market for the first time, they will lack trust of the people. And for us, this is very important. This is coming also due to political things that have happened in our country. In Albania, for example, in 1997, we had a civil war that was related to some pyramid schemes, and trust in financial institutions is not very, has its own, thoughts. When we discuss with people, they still have these things, And basically, it will be very difficult to get the trust if you are just digitally entering in the market. So these banks need to find, I was having this discussion with Sonia about Starling, that it's very important to have a connection with the bank, which is human, and it's not just a chatbot. And that's why I think that Starling has a unique value proposition as a neobank. Well, for Tirana Bank, for us it's important because we are for the 6th year in a row, the fastest growing bank in Albania for retail banking. Very proud of this. And yes, we changed the way we were working, because onboarding is a success, of course, to have a seamless process, to do onboarding in 4 minutes. But at the end of the day, who is that customer that is going to open an account just because you have a very smooth journey? You should have a value proposition behind, either a product that they're going to use and they can, onboard with the bank and then apply for that specific product. That could be a consumer loan. And this is why we are working very hard, and basically in 4 months' time we're going to have not only digital onboarding end-to-end that we already have for 1 year now, but also end-to-end digital lending. And this, I think, will make a difference in the market.
So coming back to you, we're all discussing always, about investing in digital transformation, which actually brings a lot of excessive capital expenses that are tackling our profits and everything, especially when it comes to overlapping between a brick and mortar way of working and new digital forms and implementing it to the everyday processes. But that question that arises, above all is, what are the risks in non-investing in digitalization, in automatization, from the perspective of potential loss of the revenues as well as, customer churn, finally?
So I mentioned briefly before, the Balkans have been very protected so far because by design, right? For the reasons I mentioned, and others, you know the market much better than me. But I believe, and with the conversations I had, both with players in the market, but also others from outside that are looking at this market with interest, change will come, right? And disruption will come with the likes of Revolut, for instance. And we've seen that in other countries already here in the region. So in Romania, Revolut is one of the countries where they have the largest market share. To Revolut actually became a verb. And what I didn't say before is that Salt Bank is part of Bank of Transylvania. So Bank of Transylvania, which is one of the incumbents in the Romanian market, I think they have around 4 million customers, and they were struggling to compete with Revolut. So they were not able to attract new customers in the segment of the 25-45 on the urban population, and they were concerned not just because they were not attracting new customers, they were still profitable, but that generation will become the sweet spot where they are in a few years, and that will put the
Allow me to jump in. Just share the information, how many customers they gain, because I mentioned the churn and the churn rate and everything. How many customers they gain in first 3 months, Salt Bank?
Oh, Salt Bank, in the first 2 weeks, 150,000. And now they have more than 500,000. That's the official number. As I said, it's well beyond the Montenegro's population already. The strategy of Bank of Transylvania was they knew they couldn't compete not just because of the constraints of the technology, but also of the brand perception, right, for that segment. And therefore, they decided to acquire a small bank for the license and set up a separate business. Because there was an urgency in the market, right, they couldn't spend 3 years building a bank. They decided to partner with us. But when I say partner with us, they're not just embraced the technology, they embraced the operating model. So to your point, for instance, they also have a customer service in-house that is 100% human, no IVR, nothing. So they embrace that, which allowed them actually to set up a bank in less than 6 months for the compliance, and then focus the rest of the time on the 2 other pillars that were actually the differentiator for the Romanian market. Was one about the value proposition, right? So what are the products and the services they needed to launch in the market to be at least as competitive as Revolut? So they launched a very complete retail bank from day one with the full automated onboarding. And then the third pillar, which is also a very important one for their success, is their brand and their launch campaign. So one of the biggest learnings with Salt is that don't wait for go live to start attracting customers. So what they did, they wanted to have a brand that was trusted as an incumbent, but fast as a speedboat of a fintech. And therefore, they created this logo, which is a sloth, a very slow animal to show the characteristics of an incumbent, but then we'll do a leap and do things that would surprise by going to the city, etc. And then also they did a launch. In the launch campaign, they created this founder scheme where the first 80,000 people to subscribe a card will have special benefits and services across the life cycle, but also they will become shareholders if Salt Bank goes public. And as a result, as I said, they onboarded 150,000 people in the first 2 weeks. It's quite funny when I go to Salt. They always come with this story where they were not expecting such success, and therefore everyone was in a war room, including the CEO, onboarding people, and that actually set up a very solid foundation for growth that translate into success and at speed that they have today.
We're running out of time, so I'll speed up. So in a nutshell, we'll try to answer last question, to give and to try to answer last questions. But Igor, not just in North Macedonia, backstage we've heard Albania, but I know that the rest of the Adria region is also facing with a lot of physical presence, and the clients are asking this physical presence, and their trust is still in this area. But how you combine this physical presence with branches, with the digital transformation, and same time building your, trustworthy towards the customers?
The branches are here, and for sure they will be there. They have to transform. But in order to transform, you have to transform your mindset. What would you like to do in the branches with the customers? If you're still flying on your results with selling loans, selling even a deposit and so on, you will stuck in your transformation. Although you have all the digital services developed somebody from your organization in your operations or innovative hub. So the thing is that the people in the bank working with the retail, or especially retail, they have to understand why is this happening and what they can use their time to. Of course, it has to sell, to upgrade, to upsell, and so on. So, but it has to be aligned with their KPIs. If their KPIs are not in their aligned, they will just stuck with the old-fashioned wave. We are trying to. We've launched last year one tellerless branch. It is a major success, but in the preparation, when we were discussing where and who will be the integrator of that branch, for example. And first of all, we were introducing integrator for the first time. And I was challenging and I was a bit provocative to my colleagues. It's open space, there are no offices except for the personal banker and probably personal banker in business or for retail. But I was a bit provocative. I said, of course, the head of the branch will be the integrator. The colleagues were shocked. What are you talking about? The head of the branch, he's the director he's the director. Come on, guys. There is no such thing in the director with the clients. You're not director. You're just the face of the bank in front of the clients. If you transform your approach, your mindset, you will understand what is the new next thing, what will happen. So this is my biggest challenge in the bank, inside the bank, and with the colleagues on the conferences when I'm talking with colleagues. It's a way how we will unlearn what we were doing and how we will relearn what we would like to, how we will approach the customers, how we will sell our new products, our platform, our ecosystem, and so on.
When we come to pensioners, etc., so this is another topic for sure. I will maybe ask you later. But the first question actually that I wanted to ask you, Lila, but this is a very good continuation on what we're saying right now, is from the Albania perspective, what are the biggest internal blockers to accelerate this digital transformation? Is it regulatory constraints, culture, whatever?
If I can say it with just one word, for sure it's not technology, it's mindset. Because at the moment that you decide that you are not going to see transformation as an IT project, as I said, but as a business reinvention, this is the game changer for us. So we have been discussing also with the central bank, because for sure regulator is part of the game, especially when you talk about the digital signature. And the fact that now banks, just like us, that are more like entrepreneurship rather than traditional banks, we move much faster even than the regulators sometimes, because technology is changing everything very fast. And for sure we had support from the central bank, since we have now a digital onboarding end-to-end, and very soon we're going to have the digital lending end-to-end. For me, mindset is, if the people in operation and IT think like business people, it's very difficult, actually. I always say IT people are kind of strange to me. I don't understand them very well. But The most important thing is to make people believe in the same vision. And vision is the most important element in this equation. For sure, it's also having the right talents on board. With what we are suffering, I think our country is suffering a bit from emigration as well, from the brain drain. Nevertheless, it's very difficult to find real talents, because with no talents you cannot grow and develop and make it happen, what you have in your strategic vision. And also one blocker can be the fact that blockers are boardrooms sometimes. You know, you have to convince people that are very well respected. I mean, I don't want to be misunderstood here, but they have 40 years that do the same thing, and it's very difficult for them to understand what is innovation and technology. And finally, when this thing that you make it happen breathes at its life, then they change the mind. So we need decision makers, innovators, forward thinkers, and out-of-the-box thinkers, and for sure, authentic people.
We'll confirm this, because last night actually we just discussed how actually also our more experienced older colleagues actually set up the market and the way of thinking. Of course, this is also our internal journey, so I really understand the point. Really last but not least, but I can't resist, we are out of time. I assume that the organization will allow us. This last question for you, Sonia. What do you think that traditional banks can do to actually learn from neobanks and to make more of their business neobanks alike in terms of customer perspective?
Yeah, so I think there are two major ones, and I will try to summarize. One is digital transformation is not just about transforming customer channels. So if you, as a digital bank, yes, you should try to embrace the self-service model and help your customers serve themselves in a self-serve model where 98% of the things that they do on a daily basis can be done by themselves. But also think about, to deliver on that promise, you also need to think about digitalizing the work of your colleagues in a consistent and integrated way, so that they can delight customers but also operate in a very efficient way, because you still have a business to run. And the last point is don't forget humans. It's one of your differentiators, is what builds trust. So on the 2% where customers actually will need help, and they will need help at some point, make sure you incorporate on your digital bank a human touch, so that customers are delighted when they need the most, and that builds trust and also a solid foundation for the future.
So we are run out of time. I hope that the audience, as myself, did find this fruitful and interesting discussion. In order to underline, I took some notes, and as a conclusion, so to say, overall conclusion will be that digital transformation is not just about the destination. It's a truly journey, for which you need bold thinking, assume. You need organizational agility, cultural evolution, of course. I think the courage to set your own norms. So I think that digital is not about being second best, but really finding your own winning formula. So I hope you enjoyed, that you'll bring with yourself some another questions to question yourself and your organizations how to build up different customer acquisition. So thank you again being a part of the INFINTECH, to you and to the audience, and really keep the momentum going. Thank you very much.
Thank you.